Why would you want to change Usain Bolt's wrist action when he's the world record holder? Hello, I'm John Shepherd, and in this video we're going to talk about sprinting. I'm going to answer some questions that have been sent into the channel in a follow-up to the previous week's video on how to sprint faster. We've two topics in this video: sprint conditioning and sprint technique, and in particular heel recovery and the idiosyncrasies of an individual's sprint technique. Okay, the first question on conditioning comes from William McDonald, and he asks, how often do your athletes do isometric holds for speed training in the gym on a weekly basis? As I explained in my response on the channel, we do 2 sessions a week throughout the year generally that are triphasic. So we combine concentric, isometric and eccentric exercises into a conditioning workout. And this workout also includes plyometrics and other jump type exercises. So we're looking for that potentiating boost as well. That comes from combining those two types of exercise together, i.e. resistance weights based and jumping plyometric type. So specifically in terms of isometrics, we'll do isometric leg press and isometric squats, and we'll vary the angle, the depth or the angle at the knee for the holds, and we'll also vary the duration of the hold as well, as isometric strength is very specific to the angle at which the force is applied, or should I say resisted. Regular channel viewers will know that we've been using the triphasic method for about a year and a half now in our conditioning workouts, and this follows on from the work of Cal Dietz, a US sports conditioning expert. However, I will say that triphasic methodology, i.e. the combination of different types of muscular actions, has been around for a very long time. We found that using the various muscular actions combined into a workout twice a week has provided many benefits for the jumpers in particular, in terms of their ability to transfer power at the point of takeoff. If you're eccentrically and isometrically strong, then you'll be better able to return the force that you have to withstand at the point of takeoff and transfer that through the concentric action into your takeoff. Similar will apply to sprinters. When your foot hits the ground, the muscles of the ankle, knee and hip go on stretch. They're working eccentrically, and within that contact there's going to be milliseconds of isometric activity as well. So it stands to reason that if you train those two muscular actions specifically, then you're going to get a benefit, an energy returning benefit for your sprinting as well. If you want to find out more about the triphasic methodology and how we've been implementing it and our own take on it, or my own take on it, then do check out the relevant videos on the channel. The second question on conditioning for sprinting comes from Milam Max, and he asks a similar question in a way to the previous one, in that he's asking how many times a week should a sprinter train with weights? Well, I've somewhat answered that in my previous response, but I will add a little bit extra, in that it's important that your weight training program dovetails in to the rest of your training program, so you don't get a mismatch between the strength that you're developing in the weights room and your sprint track work, for example. That's why I favour the triphasic approach, and in particular combining resistance weights-based exercises with plyometric ones. There's a greater chance that the benefits of the two methodologies will transfer into increased ability to express force, power and speed through your fast twitch muscle fibres. If you were to solely weight train, for example, and then sprint in a program that's not co-joined, where everything works together, there's a likelihood that the strength that you develop in the weights room won't transfer directly into your sprinting. I'll say more about how to construct a training program, a conditioning program for sprints and jumps in subsequent videos. And before I go on to the technical aspects of sprinting, I just want to say that I'll be launching the membership area on my YouTube channel within the next week to 10 days. So do look out for that. As I've said in previous videos, this will enable me to go more in depth about training programs, for example, for sprinters and jumpers. There's a small fee to become a channel member, but it will enable you to gain access to more information, more specific information, and for us to have a more closer coaching and athlete relationship dialogue. Okay, let's move on to the technical questions relating to sprinting. Now the first one comes in and it talks about heel recovery and the lift of the heel from the back of the body to the front of the body. The questioner, Sprint FTS, says that he can hardly get his heel to pass by his knee, let alone above his knee, when it comes from the back to the front of the body. Well, rear side mechanics are crucial for sprinting, and in particular, as I always say in the videos, the role that the hip muscles, front and rear, play in pulling that foot from the back of the body to the front is crucial. Now, in terms of heel recovery, there are some divergent opinions in that some sprint coaches are not emphasizing such a high heel recovery. If you look at Usain Bolt, for example, you'll see that his heel comes very close to his glutes as he pulls the leg through from the back to the front. However, a look at some other sprinters will see that the heel doesn't travel quite so high. The rationale for this is that a shorter lever will come through quicker, and also if it's pulled more diagonally across the knee to the front, it'll be more powerful, and that the strike on the ground will therefore be enhanced. So I wouldn't worry too much about the heel recovery coming really up to the backside as it goes through to the front. However, it should be above the knee. The key thing is to get a diagonal movement of the foot across from the back to the front of the body so that it really creates momentum and power and force back down into the track surface. You'll see on screen now as I'm talking some still shots of Usain in action, and you can take a look at the positioning of his heel and you'll see that it's very high. Also, there's a shot of Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, and again we'll see the high heel recovery. However, I will say that in the case of Fraser-Pryce in particular, with a forward rotated pelvis, the heel recovery is going to be higher than somebody who's more upright in their stance. So this leads on nicely to the second question about the idiosyncrasies of an individual's sprint technique. A while back during lockdown, I posted a video of myself sprinting in order to give you a workout, in that I was unable to get access to the athletes I coach, and so I was doing a number of workouts myself to keep the videos going, but also to hopefully keep you guys motivated during lockdown. Well, there was a few comments on my technique, and one in particular came from Lam Roth, and he noticed that my left wrist was rotating behind my body whilst I was sprinting. Now, I did post this on Twitter a while back to see if I got any feedback from other coaches along the lines as to what was happening specifically. And it was quite interesting that a number of them said I should leave it alone, in that they were arguing that the rotation of the wrist enabled the arm to come through quicker, which would therefore have an effect on the leg mechanics and theoretically assist in the transference there of, I would guess, the right leg. Now, as I said, I followed up on this particular issue and I looked at other sprinters in action, elite sprinters, and to be honest, I was really surprised when I saw that many of them did the same, and with the left wrist. So again, I've got a picture of Usain Bolt on screen now, and you'll see that his wrist is also rotated behind the body before the arm comes through to the front. I'd be interested to hear what any of you guys think, coaches, athletes, on this subject. But it falls back on the idea that we all have our own idiosyncrasies when we're sprinting. We all can't be robots and sprint exactly the same. Our size, our leg length, the proportion of our lower leg to our upper leg, for example, will all affect the way that we sprint. And unless it's really detrimental to your sprinting, then I would leave idiosyncrasies, those small little things that we as individual athletes bring to our event, alone. Sometimes trying to coach out things because the textbook says it should be X is going to be detrimental. i.e., why would you want to change Usain Bolt's wrist action when he's the world record holder and traveling at close to 12 meters a second. As I said, unless what you're doing technically is very detrimental to sprint velocity, acceleration, max velocity, etc., then I would leave it alone. As usual, thanks for watching and good luck with your training and any competitions that you may have at this moment in time. Do subscribe to the channel and please leave any comments you may have in the section below or through my other social media. Speaking of which, I recently passed 10,000 subscribers to my Instagram. So thank you for everybody who's subscribed over there. And if you haven't, please do go and check it out. I do post 5 to 6 times a week, and I often try to explain some of the concepts, some of the technical issues that we're working on with the videos or the photographs that I post on Instagram. So in a way, it's a compliment and a more quicker way of seeing what I'm trying to achieve on the YouTube channel as well.